You must be very proud of your dad.
Yeah, I'm delighted. I was out with him every day, so I'm delighted to see the hard work paid off. So, yeah.
He's going to be 15 years in the European Parliament, 10 years done so far, and another 5 years to go. What do you think has made him so popular?
I think he's been in politics for such a long time, and he's very different to a lot of the other politicians. Like, if you look down there, a lot of them didn't even bother to come to thank the voters for coming out for them, whereas he's been here for the whole time. He's been tallying, he's been at it for years, and one thing in particular is he sticks to his principles, which I really like, and I'm really proud of him for that, because I see a lot of politicians, they'll change their opinion on something based on popularity, but when it came to abortion in Roscommon, he was the only elected politician out canvassing for that, for the care referendum. He was there for cannabis, for travellers. He's always sticking up for what's right, and I think a lot of people admire that. Even if they don't agree with him, they admire that he sticks to his principles, and I think it goes to show that when you see the amount of transfers he gets from everyone, and even from going around canvassing, he is very popular. People like him, I suppose.
I know from social media that you played a big role in his campaign in terms of trying to support him and whatever else. Tell us about the role you played, because I'm sure it's some experience to go running around 15 different counties to try and get people to vote for your dad.
Yeah, so I had a really good time. I was out with him every day, and we did around 250 towns, I think it was. I was originally meant to run for locals, but I thought, I don't know, I think with local government, unfortunately they don't have a lot of power, so I thought my time would be better spent out canvassing with my dad. So my role was kind of campaign manager, I suppose. I ran the social medias, I made sure he was fed, did a lot of driving, and also I did his TikTok, and I thought that was important because there's a lot of young people like me who I think align with his kind of policies of equality and stuff like that. But I said to him, they might know who you are, because a lot of young people aren't really engaged with politics. So I thought if I could platform him on TikTok and Instagram and get people seeing who he is, we'll get him more votes. And we did notice that. Like, I did a couple of like trendy videos. So there's this TikTok, and it's like, I'm looking for a man in finance, trust fund, and it's basically what you're looking for. So I did that with him and all his main policies, and that, I think that got a couple of thousand likes. So I just thought it was important to show a different side to him, because he's good at getting maybe the older vote, but I thought I can help him get the younger vote too, and get young people out voting. So.
And do you think a lot of young people did vote for him? Of course, that's one stat we're not able to tell.
Yeah, I'd say a good few did, especially with cannabis. That was a very popular thing with the younger people, because I think, bar one candidate in this race, cannabis was obviously one of my dad's biggest policies, so I think that gets them involved. Also, a lot of people in Roscommon, young girls especially, I think the whole thing with him canvassing for abortion, for repeal back in the day, that kind of struck with them as well. And going back to him being principled, I think, that did help as well.
You mentioned yourself you chose not to participate in the council elections there recently. You say you don't think local government has an awful lot of power. Would you like to participate in a Dáil election sometime?
I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. Yeah.
Is it something that would interest you to become an MEP or a TD?
Yeah, I think we need a lot of more representation. Like, if we look at Roscommon, Galway, Claire Corran, I think she's brilliant. I've always been a fan of hers. But when we look at some of the other TDs, I think they don't represent rural Ireland. They claim to represent rural Ireland, but they've done nothing for women's rights. I don't think they've done anything for carers. They like to talk about farmers a lot, and farming is vital. But farmers also need someone who's going to stick up for their social rights, for healthcare, for caring and all that kind of stuff. And I think a lot of politicians don't realise that farmers are interested in other things as well, and I think that's why my dad does so well. A lot of farmers vote for him because they know that he's doing a good job for them, but he also has more going for him, and I think that's what makes him a good voice for rural Ireland.
You probably heard it, or you saw on Twitter and Facebook and whatever else last night, a lot of the talk about your dad maybe running for the Áras at some point. What did you make of that? Did that come as a surprise to you, or did you know he harboured those ambitions?
We hadn't really talked about it before, but if he does choose to do that, I will be his campaign manager again, happily, and I'm sure he'd do very well. I actually had someone mention it to me this morning in Castlebar. I was parking up and they came over and said they'd vote for him, so we already have one vote got in Castlebar. So, yeah.
What would it be like living in the Áras? Would you like it?
I'd probably stay in Castlereagh myself.